Hello everyone. Happy Friday. How is everybody doing today? While I give you a minute to hop on, I am just going to get everything pulled up at my end, make sure that we don't have any sound interfering, and make sure that the live is working. All right, there we go. Hi Ramona, how are you? I'm sure you are glad it's Friday. We are around here. We actually have an evening with both of the boys home. So once we are all finished, I am going to go and do some more yard work with them. It's a bit of a mad dash to get everything done and planted and in the ground. We got our vegetables planted yesterday, other than a few more that we need to do today, but the tomatoes are happily in soil now. All right, so I'm Alana Wharf, Sleepless Stamper. I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada, and we are on day 3 of the Layers of Beauty week-long series. So today's project is going to be this middle one. On, I think it was actually Monday, we did day 1. My goodness, the week has been bonkers with strange happenings and things like that and all kinds of appointments. But I believe it was Monday we actually did day 1. Yes, it was. And then Tuesday was a migraine. Hi, Linda. And Wednesday I locked myself out. Anyhow, so, and then I did manage to get back to you guys yesterday. So today I'm going to do 1 project and then tomorrow I'll do 2. So today's this one here. Monday was this one. Yesterday was this one. So day 2 didn't happen till Thursday. And then today is day 3. So tomorrow will be project 4 and 5. Or we could say day 3, project 3. So this one here is the one that I'm going to make. I will try to post the inspiration for you guys too. I drew inspiration for this one from an invitation that I saw. And it had some really pretty florals in one corner and another, and they had multi-tones in there. So I'm going to show you guys how I used the stencil to create 2 different colors of flowers. Theirs was really deep in color, and I just loved it. So I'm going to play around with it a little bit more, but I'm happy with how this one came out as well. So we will show you guys how to do this. Now, again, today, this one is not die cut. Yesterday, we did a split version of the image, and I actually, in case you missed it, I stamped, stenciled, die cut, and then I cut it to split it. So today, we're actually going to stamp twice instead of die cutting. I was very tempted. I actually messed up this card, you guys. And so while I'm inking this one, I'm going to have to be very careful not to do that again. But I will explain what I did in order to help you guys avoid doing the same thing. I just had to grab my stamp mat here. So I'm going to show you the color palette that I have, and then that way it's right at the beginning of the video in case you earn the kit and you need to come back to watch the replay to make your cards, you will have the color palette handy. So I have used the same colors as I did on Monday, and no, actually there's one that's a little bit different. On Monday, we did balmy blue for the light blue on this one, and I'll actually bring these closer so you can see a comparison. And today it is going to be boho blue. I wanted the lighter color to be deeper today, so I switched out the light color, and then Misty Moonlight, Night of Navy. I only did Bubble Bath for the pink. I did not pull in the other colors that I added with yesterday's version. So yesterday's version was Bubble Bath, Berry Burst, and Blackberry Bliss. And for today's, I decided I just wanted to go tone on tone with Bubble Bath. So that's what we have for today. And then I stuck with the same colors for the leaves. I want to play around with this and see if I can get a different leaf color scheme going that might be a little deeper with this, but I stuck with Soft Seafoam and Old Olive. If you have tried darker leaf colors and you have a recommendation, please do comment with what they are. I would love to give them a try. I had Garden Green and Shaded Spruce and just wasn't sure, so I stuck with this because I knew that it would look nice. So we are going to move this cutter aside and get going. So I'll review the supplies as well, so that you have these. I have gone again with my Old Faithful Just Because from the Thoughtful Moments Hybrid Die and Embossing Folder Set. If you don't have this, this should be in your collection. I love this one. And again, just as yesterday, thank God we have the silver foil paperback. So we have this embossing folder and then the coordinating die that goes with it. And I love just cutting out that just because with silver foil, and then it does the trick. You can also ink these folders and then you can cut it on cardstock and you would get the raised word. And then if you ink it first, then you would have a colored word around it. So I just use the die cuts though. All right, so we have just because I have used, I should quickly show you the stamp set and dies in case you're new to this today. So we have the Layers of Beauty stamp set, which has these few floral images in here and then 4 greetings that you can use. And then we have all of the coordinating dies for the stamped images. And we also have accent dies, which includes the 2. They're not on my little sheet there, but it includes these. And I think these might be 2 that stay in my magnetic tray. I love these and I think they're a good accent for other things as well. So we have these. I have 2 1/2" by 2" pieces of the Color Collection DSP. So this is from the neutrals. Misty Moonlight is in the neutrals, and we have these 2 patterns. I played around with both of them, and you can see I cut the stripes. Ultimately, I decided on this pattern here, and I thought that it looked nice, kind of cottagey with the roses. So that is what I went with. So just a 1/2" strip and then cut into 2" pieces. Next, we have same layout. The layout stays the same, and when you have such a large image, it can be a little tricky to mix it up, but I'm hoping that with our next 2 projects, I'll bring you something a little different. So 3 3/4 by 5 is the small layer. That's going to be my stamped layer. And then 3 7/8, and it should be by 5 1/8, is the small layer that I have matted behind it, and then a 4 1/4 by 11 card base. So those are all the pieces that we have. And then I have some birds and dragonflies and some linen thread. All right, so I have this. I am going to put a scrap sheet of paper on here. I need my smaller piece of paper, and we're going to ink up. That's my smaller piece of basic white. And then we are going to ink up this image. Now, if you have never seen an ink pad get re-inked, you are going to get to see that today. All right, so I have my Memento again. And we're going to re-ink this one. Ramona and Linda, I'm sure that you have both had to re-ink your ink pads before. I know you both do lots of stamping. I don't know if anyone else is there right now, but I appreciate you guys coming to watch. There we are. Okay, so I just took the cap off that, and then I just kind of go both directions. Sorry, I forgot to describe that as I was going. And then now I can get a nice coverage. I've been using that Memento a lot. So I am going to stamp this on the bottom corner and the top corner. And when I blend it, I really want to make sure that I get these other little flowers on here, daisies or whatever they're called. So I am making sure when I look through here that I can see those on my paper. Or mostly anyway. There we go. Let's give that a good press. Okay. So there we have one corner. And then now I'm going to do the same thing. And I just ink up the whole image, even though I am not coloring the whole image. It's easier to just ink up the whole thing. And then I don't have to worry that, oh shoot, the part that's actually on the paper isn't fully inked. So if it was a color that you had to be like particular, that you didn't waste your ink, then maybe I might be careful, but it's not. There we are. There. So we have two corners inked up with that. And now I can move my stamp mat. When I've been stamping this, sorry, on my own, I have been using my glass mat underneath, and I don't need to put a stamp mat underneath it. But my glass mat currently has a whole bunch of ink mixed on it, and I'm not gonna make you guys stare at that the whole time. So I have, I decided to just use this method for now. All right, so I'm going to tape down my sheet. You can see here I've been doing stamping and blending, and sorry about that. All right. Now, if you don't have layers of beauty, do you have enduring beauty? Did any of you get that? Okay. So actually, do you know what I'm going to do? Well, no, this is fine. We'll just leave that way. I was going to flip the sheet over so that we had a clean slate, but we're good. I'm going to tape this down. Now, we are going to work with stencil number 1. If you're new today, we get 5 masks with this bundle. And bundles are 10% off this month, so don't forget that. There is ink on these because I have been busy blending, but you get 5 stencils. They are all numbered, and that tells you what order to do your blending in. So I am taking stencil number 1. I'm going to line this up with my image here. And I am going to have to show you my little trick. I'll tell you what happened to me earlier. I don't know how it didn't happen on the first one, but it sure happened on the second one. Okay, so we're going to tape this down. I have a marker I am just going to mark this with. If you want to just mark it with a blending brush in the corner, you can do that. But you can see here that this goes across here. I am going to take a large sticky note and I am going to mask over this. Now, of course, my largest sticky notes are in the other room. So I'm just going to use these lined ones. And I am covering up the rest of my cardstock because earlier, you wouldn't know it now. And if you don't have one of these ink erasers, you want one of these. I had to erase a huge chunk of Balmy Blue ink that I accidentally went over the edge of the stencil and got it right across there. Thankfully, again, on the first one, I don't know how I didn't go over the edge at all, but on the second one, I sure did. And I had a huge streak of Balmy Blue ink. Thankfully, the eraser worked, and I put these elements here. So the little bit of fuzziness to the paper is pretty well disguised, but that's my tip for you, is cover this up so that you don't, if you're doing a partial, like a corner, cover up the part that you're not blending on so that you don't get any ink on top of that. Now, I have more sticky notes that I'm going to use as a mask because I want these flowers to be pink. Hi, Karen, how are you? Thanks for joining in. So I am masking off the flowers that I want to blend with pink. And then that way I don't have to worry about blue getting on them. Okay, so this one here, I'm gonna just come into here and gosh, there we go. And I actually need one more little one because I have a little corner here that I don't want to. And you can reuse your sticky notes, so don't be afraid of using too many. I just save them. Like you can see, it's already inked up. And this one I'm actually going to tape onto the other ones because it's not grabbing very well to the plastic. So this will help. Now I'm going to begin with Boho Blue. Okay, so we're gonna just tap that on there. Start by blotting some off on your plastic mat. And then that way you can also bring that back onto there. You don't have to waste that by dabbing off onto your paper. Karen, do you have this bundle yet? I think it's so pretty. Okay, so there is our Balmy Blue Rose, and then I'm gonna do these little blooms here. All right, so that's the Balmy Blue, or Boho Blue. Jeepers, you guys, I'm calling it the wrong name. But now I need to mask off the blue so that I can do the pink. So I am going to put this right along that line of our flower. And then this one, I am going to actually just use a little piece of tape, which I have right here. This one is a little smaller piece going this way. So I'm going to tuck this in here and tuck this in here. Now, if you want to be really fussy, you could stamp on a sheet of masking paper. You ordered it last night. Awesome. And then you could fussy cut it exactly to the size of the image. I am not going to do that. This will be fine. Okay, so we're all done with Boho Blue. I'm going to bring in Bubble Bath. Okay. So now we are going to ink everything else that is left open here. Now I probably should have cleaned that off in between because, well, it's fine. The blue is up here, so it's all good. Okay, there we are. So that is the Bubble Bath. Now I'm going to just move this out of the way. We can take, this should be everything for layer number 1, but I am going to need to use these large sticky notes again because I still need to mask off this side so that I don't blend over the edge and ruin my sheet of cardstock. Now we want layer number 2. So we've got layer number 2 here. I can't wait for you to get your bundle, Karen. It has been fun to play with, that's for sure. So now I'm going to line this up, and hopefully these videos will give you some ideas on what you can do with it. Okay, now we're going to tape this back over this. We don't want this exposed because look here, that's exactly where I got the ink over the edge. So I'm going to cover that up. There we are. Now I may need those masks again. So we're just going to, well, I will need them. So I'm just going to mask off the pink. And right here, I probably don't need to do this one because it's far enough away, but I'm going to move that pink. Now I need to bring in Misty Moonlight. And I have got another blending brush for that one. In theory, you could probably use the same blending brush for some of these colors if you weren't doing them on the same project, but because I'm doing them on the same project, I'm tending to switch them out in between. And it doesn't mean I can't wash them and use them in other colors after. And I try to go with the direction that these detailed parts are. See that there, that little piece wants to lift. So I'm trying to just bring this ink on. Oopsie, look, I put a little bit in that pink spot. So now I want to just make sure that I wipe that off. I wasn't being careful, guys. All right, I am actually going to mask this again. I'm a little close, and when I start blending, I am going to end up getting the blue into my pink brush. So we're just going to wipe as much of this off as possible. There we go. See there? Now that will help protect the pink brush from blending blue ink onto it. All right, so that's covering there as much as possible. There we are. So we're going to mask that off. Now we're going to move the Misty Moonlight, bring back in the pink, the Bubble Bath, and we are going to do a second layer of Bubble Bath over top. You can see how that deepens with the second color. There. Okay. Now we'll peel this off. Just peel that back too. Now we have to do this twice because I have 2 flowers to do. So you guys will get to see this 2 times. All right, now we have color number 3. Are you guys tired of seeing all this masking yet? With Stamp Club on Monday, we are going to be doing one where we're just stamping and coloring. So we won't be using the masks. We will for one card, but one we will. Aw, thanks, Karen. I'm glad that you liked it. I'm sorry to have enabled you. All right, so we still need this. Now I can put Misty Moonlight away. Now I will have to get these back out again when I'm doing the second portion of my card. I suppose I could have done the second portion before we came on live, but at least this shows you. Okay, so now this is the Night of Navy, and I don't want to forget to mask. I'd be sad if I went and ruined it at this point. You guys probably would be too. There we go. So we'll bring in Night of Navy. Try to bring in as much of this as possible off of the mat. There we are. So that's Night of Navy. I'm going to just wipe off as much as possible. I'm going to just spray a little bit of cleaner. You can see that I've been busy doing that. I've got to make sure I get that card in the mail to my mom from yesterday. She loved that one. There we go. So get the Night of Navy off there. Now I'm going to just cover that back up. And then I will bring back in my brush with Bubble Bath. And we'll give this another. Now I'm avoiding this. I don't want to go over that, and I'll show you why. I should have done what I did the other day and colored it in advance so that I would make sure that I didn't go over that. But I'm just staying away from that. Okay. Now we will peel this off. And you can see our 3 tones in there. I just love these. All right, so that's the 3. I have my SU100, and I'm going to color these centers brown. And that looks like that's all there is. So just the 2. Now we are going to move these aside for now, and we're going to bring in Soft Seafoam. Whoopsie, look what I did. And Old Olive. Have you guys ever done that? I'm sure we all have. Stuck our fingers right in the ink pad. Try and use some stamp cleaner. Look, that got it off by doing that right away. Most of it is gone. All right, so now we have stencil number 4 is this one here, and this will do the leaves. So I am going to peel this back and line this up. I find that my leaves are slightly off from the stencil markings. So I have to adjust them a little. All right, so we're gonna mark that off again. Bring back in the brush for my Soft Seafoam. And then we'll give this one a whirl over that. Do you guys who are watching, do you find you keep all of the Stampin' Up! Colors in your collection? Or do you purchase the colors that you use the most? Or that you think you would use the most? I guess until you've purchased them, you likely don't use them the most unless you've crafted with a friend. I have them all, and I would find it so hard. Although we can create, you do not have to have everything, right? Okay, I always tell people that. You can definitely start with what you have. You don't have to have all the colors just to get going. All right, so now stencil number 5. This is the last one for this corner. And then I will have to move on to the other side because we still have the other corner. So are you cursing me that I have not pre-colored half of this image for you guys so you don't have to watch the whole thing? Or do you mind sitting here with me while I blend over both sides? There we are, just covering over that stencil so that I don't get ink on my white cardstock. And now we're moving on to Old Olive. I should move some of these blending brushes out of the way while we're going. You guys have like quite the mess of my blending brushes in your face. Maybe it just makes you feel at home. Are you a messy crafter or a tidy crafter? I do like to clean up in between projects. It's kind of crazy. Like my desk ends up messy, but I do find that if I start with a clean slate or if I clean up in between, I can be more efficient, and I feel like the ideas come to me a little bit faster when I have a clean slate in front of me. It's strange. All right, there we go. There's one side. Now we are going to flip this over, and because I'm moving everything, I need to set up a new template with my stencil markings. So there we are, is side number 1 or corner number 1. You could always switch the colors and just mask off 2. You keep them all. Awesome. I totally the same. I've got like all the cardstock, all the ink pads, all the refills. I can't wait until you get yours, Karen, and you make some stuff with that. So now we're gonna flip this one over and we're gonna do the same thing. So now we just do everything I just did one more time. So if you're just tuning in, you haven't missed anything. You get to watch me do this just like everyone else already has. Now I've got to line this up. I really like yesterday's project too. I love how the pink and splitting that image worked out. I hope that by the end of all these cards, I've shown you a few different ways to use such a large image, because it can be hard to come up with different ideas when that image is so big and is in such a different direction. Aw, thanks, Karen. Like in such a specific direction, I mean. So being able to split it this way, split it this way, I hope that that gives you, and then stamp background, some different ideas. Though my layouts are very similar, I hope that it has still, so far, given you some different tips. Now we got to mask this again, because we don't want that to be blended upon, but I do want to blend these. So we're going to do this, and then I have a little corner here that I want to cover up as well, so I'm just going to tuck that right in there. There we are. So I need to move the green. I would be sad if I went with green over that. That would not be what I'm looking for. That would be disappointing, that's for sure. Okay, so boho blue is first up. Now, I did tell you guys I needed to make a new stencil, so I just want to make sure I do this so that I don't forget. I'm going to peel this back, and I'll peel this back. And then I have a few little match points to use when I'm matching up my stencils for the next steps. All right, so boho blue, here we are. So we're going to dab some off, and then, wow, that is pretty pigmented. I put lots of, see that blob there? That's precisely why you dab off first. I must have like dabbed off, but right onto the stencil. There we go. There we go. So there is boho blue. Oh, I better do these little blossoms. I don't have any blue flowers in my garden. Are there actually blue flowers, you guys, that aren't just dyed with some coloring? I don't know. I do have lots of pink, lots of purple. If you are a gardener or if you plant flowers, what is your colors? What do you guys plant? Are you like reds, oranges, yellows, purple, pinks, and that kind of thing? I am definitely purples and pinks. I love blues and greens in like just everything else, but flowers wise, I love purples and pinks. But then I will, of course, you get the greens in the fillers and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely like blues and greens outside too. All right, so now we need to move Boho Blue and bring in the Bubble Bath. The Pretty in Pink would be pretty on this, as I'm sure as well. I haven't tried Pretty in Pink other than, no, the other coloring method I did was with Petunia Pop. Okay, so that is that layer of Bubble Bath. Now I am going to switch these and we can move on to stencil number 2. How many of you have Pretty in Pink from when we had it many years ago? I'm going to just wipe this off a little bit in between. Just so that I don't contaminate my blending. So you can always keep a rag nearby. Now I am going to just look at that. I want to wipe off the back and make sure that I don't get any, just make sure it's dry before I put that down. And then this way I can help make sure I don't get any blobs on my image where my sheet where I don't want it. Okay, so see here again, we're going to cover this up. We don't want to blend over that edge and get that on the card. So now it is time for Misty Moonlight and more Bubble Bath. So we're just masking these off, and I want to mask off along here so that I don't get the blue and the pink, or the pink and the blue. There we are. Now we have Misty Moonlight. Okay, let's see how much is left in my brush. That moved. This is the one I want to be most careful with. Because it is so close to the pink and the blue actually touch. There we go. So now we've got our Misty Moonlight. We'll put this one away. Try not to get my fingers in there like I did with the Night of Navy before. Now we're going to mask off the blue. Oh, you know what? We're also going to just wipe off that stencil so I don't get the blue onto my pink blending brush. I'm going to try to tape down that little part of the stencil. We'll use this piece of masking tape. It works a little better than a sticky note. And then of course it goes to lift up there. Okay, so we're going to hold that down and then come in here with more Bubble Bath. So the Bubble Bath, I'm just going darker and darker with the shades of Bubble Bath by putting layers of it on top of each other. So I want to make sure that I get enough in there that it makes a difference. There we are. Okay, now we can take off layer number 2. We're going to have to replace some of our masking tape soon. And then now I will do layer number 3. So if you're just tuning in, the stencils are all numbered. They have a little number in the corner. So you start with 1 and you work your way up to 5. So here I'm actually going to remember to color my flower centers. I don't want to stencil over these with pink on this next step. So I am going to just color those with brown. This is the SU 100. And now I can come over this with my stencil number 3, and on my second round here I'm lining up to my purple guides. And then again, I've got to just remember to bring this back over top so I don't blend over that edge. Now it's time for Night of Navy. And we've got to mask this off again. There's not as much risk on this step of getting the colors mixed, so we don't have to be quite so cautious. And then we're just blending some Night of Navy over this top part here. There we are. And again, I'm going to just wipe that off so that I don't get that into my bubble bath blending brush. And here we go. The last layer of bubble bath. I honestly haven't used bubble bath a ton before this project, and with these stencils I've used it a few times now. Is that a color you guys use? All right, let's have a look. I think we are all good to go with that. Okay, so here we are. The flowers are done. Now we just need to do the leaves again. So we're going to bring back in stencil number 4. And we are going to line this up. So you can see that it's a little bit off for some reason, my stencil number 4. I don't know what's up with that. There we are. So now we're going to put these colors away. I don't need these anymore. Don't want to accidentally stick my I almost called it Pear Pizzazz again. Yesterday I called Soft Seafoam Pear Pizzazz. So I'm going to use my soft seafoam brush and my soft seafoam pad, and I don't want to get those mixed up. So put the others away. And these extra sticky notes sort of tend to help keep everything in place too. I find sometimes the next mask for the leaves bounces around. Maybe I just haven't taped it down well enough. There. Okay, so there is our soft seafoam. Peel that one off. I just love how these do the work for us. It's awesome. All right, now we need to line up the last one. And then I'm still going to tape this over the edge. Can you see here how close I was to just inking? I'm not going to clean that up now because I will probably end up putting ink right on my cardstock, but unbelievable. Do the stencils come with a bundle? They do. So if you ordered the bundle at 10% off, it will automatically come with the stencils. You did not need to add them separately. With that said, if you were ordering the Enduring Beauty, which used to be a bundle, it's no longer a bundle anymore. You can purchase it as separates. You actually need to enter the codes for all 3. So the stamps, the dies, and the stencils if you want the whole set. With that said, you could do just the stamps and the stencils too if you don't want the dies. But the Enduring Beauty, which is it's the same concept as Layering Beauty or Layers of Beauty. No, it used to be a bundle. Now it's all separates, but the Layers of Beauty is a bundle. All right, so we're good. I hope that made sense. So Old Olive. I just got the ones that we ordered for Stamp Club are here. They just came in, so I've got to get Stamp Club kits ready. And I'm excited for everybody to get their bundle. There we are. Okay, so now we get to reveal the whole thing with both corners done. And I'll save these. I will use those again, I'm sure. I've got some thank you cards to make with this. All right, look at that. So 2 corners. It is a little more work because you need to blend everything twice, So if you were to do this version here, I only did one image, blended once, and then I cut it to split it. This one, I actually stamped 2 separate corners. And I did that intentionally because here, you see, you only get one of each flower, but I wanted this large one both times. I wanted this in here both times. So I purposely chose to stamp it on each corner, knowing that I would need to blend twice. But if you wanted to, you could always do it the way we did yesterday, where you stamp, blend, and then cut it apart into the different elements that you want. You just wouldn't have as big of an image. Okay, so now we're all done with the blending. I have a little bit of, there must have been some ink on the back of the stencil. So what I'm going to do is purposely splatter some boho, not boho, yes, boho. Balmy blue, I'm looking for boho blue. And I believe that we do have boho blue in blends, so just bear with me while I find my boho blue. I'm positive we have boho blue blends, everybody. Yes, here they are. Okay, so I have my boho blue blends, and I'm purposely, so this one I left white, and then this one I'm going to splatter a little bit because I've got a little bit of splatter there. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and then to create a little bit of splatter, I'm just going to knock my blends with a bone folder. And then now that preserves the tip of your blends, and it looks a little more intentional now than it did before. All right, so now I can move this guy out of the way, and we can work on assembling the card. I am going to just quickly get this ink off my fingers from blending before I get that all over the card. That would be a shame. Okay, so we're going to bring this back in, and we will work on assembly. So what I did here is I actually distressed the edges of the white smaller layer, just a little bit, the stamped layer. And I like to just do that with my paper snips. We are doing a team swap, and I haven't made mine yet, but I think I'm going to do one of these cards. I think maybe yesterday's might be the card that I make for people. I'm going to just use this. I have somehow, with all that masking, I have a little line of green there. So there, that has helped with that. But I actually need to do a little bit more splatter because I think I just sanded off the splatter. So we're going to move these one more time. And there we go. Now, nobody would know. Make sure I didn't lose any parts there. Didn't know. We're good. All right. Bring this all back in. Now, I am going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus. Now, this is just from using the blends on that little bit of the center of the flower. And you guys have heard me say that I don't like using Tombow on the back of my Whisper White. And especially on such a pretty layer, I didn't want the little indent that you sometimes get from using Tombow, so I'm just using my Stampin' Seal. And then I can center this. It's actually not centered, this piece. I should have dry fit that first, you guys, and I didn't. I can see that the larger layer is a little bit too wide. So I am going to set this to one side, and then I can trim a little hair off this side here and even that out. There we go. So it'll be just like a 1/16 of an inch. That's better. I might even take just another little hair off. That hardly took anything. Okay. There. That's better. See, there we are. Now, next, I will just decide, do I want this on the bottom or this on the bottom? They're pretty much the same, but I'm going to go this way. So I've attached this with dimensionals. We're breaking into a brand new sheet, And, oh no, the cutter. That cracks me up, Karen. The dreaded cutter. Seriously, keep your eyes out for me. If you see one of those, I want to buy a new one so badly. Okay, so I have outfitted this with dimensionals. I've left a little bit of room so I can just tuck these little pieces in the side. So I didn't want these dimensionals to come right to the side. So that way you don't have to use a whole piece of DSP to go behind your card when all you're going to see is just that tiny little bit. So I've purposely just cut 1/2-inch pieces. We are going to dimensional this guy right in the middle. There we go. Now, this is 5.5 squares up from the bottom. So I am going to just line this up on the bottom. I hope you guys can see. I'm lining this up with the bottom of my grid just to make it easy for myself. I'm sorry that's a little bit out of view, but it's 5.5 squares up. So I'll just count those. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half. There we go. Now I will glue the other one, and I don't mind using Tombow for this. You don't see that, the little mark, and for some reason it's either you don't see it or just doesn't do it. So I'm counting 5.5 up again, and then this is just sliding underneath that white raised layer, and it's going right along the side of the card. Let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, half. There we are. Okay. So now we're all done with the Tombow, and I do need more dimensionals. So I have my mini dimensionals here. I'll get my Just Because all set with dimensionals. And this accent is very similar to what we've done, or the same as what I've done on some of my other cards. So I have the dimensionals ready here. I am not taking them off just yet. Got a little bit of Tombow on my finger that is holding that. Now I'm going to use this as my guide as to where to place these little flowers. So I have, whoopsie, I had a Flyaway Memento ink. I still laugh about the oh no, the cutter, Karen. All right, so I've got this little bit here, and this is why I did not peel those backings off, because of the backings from the silver piece, because now I can just hold this in place, tuck this right in here where I want that. Now I can stick that down, and I'm just using, I think I want this to be a little higher, actually, so I'm going to just gently peel that and move that a little further up. Dry fit one more time. And we'll go just a little higher up. There we go. You can definitely see more of it here. Now my other little set of leaves. So we're going to put this back down as our little guide. Excuse me while I concentrate, and I'm just going to tuck that behind there. And now, I actually angled this a little too far up. I can take my backings off of here. I'm not taking this one off just yet. I have got my other two peeled back. Sorry, you can hear Ruby. There we are. Now, I purposely didn't peel that one yet because I can now tie my linen thread bow and tuck it in behind there. Thank you, Kathy. How are you doing? Do you have this bundle yet? It's such a pretty bundle. There we go. Alrighty, now I'll get this all set with another little glue dot. I've got a twirly little loop in my bow. Sometimes you need to just manipulate them a little bit and squish that behind there. Now, because I didn't attach this end, I can just reach in here, tuck this where I want it, because I've got a little glue dot on my bow, stick that down, and there we are. So it is just an extra little accent kind of behind my greeting. Now I can reach in here, peel that backing off, and tack that down. And there we are. Now you know what though? My little loop twisted, and I'm gonna just straighten it before it wants to be a little wonky. There we are. So I actually put one part of the little loop on the dimensional there, and that's gonna help keep it flat. So there we have that. Now, instead of butterflies for today, so for Stamp Club, we are using butterflies on our cards. I decided I would switch it up and go with the birds and dragonflies. And instead of using 3, I used 2. So I'm kind of treating my bow as though it is the 3rd embellishment. They say to go in odd numbers and kind of in a triangular pattern when you're adding your embellishments. So I'm kind of treating the bow like it is my 3rd embellishment. So I tucked this little bird just right up here, and then I'm bringing in one of the other birds. So you have the ones that face this way and the ones that face the other way, and then the dragonflies. I haven't used the dragonflies. I might have to use those on something this week. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of birds and butterflies. And then I put this little bird just swooping in right down here. I love these little birds. I think they're adorable. All right, so that is project number 3. I am going to just bring back in all of the cards that we've done so far, get my embellishments back in their container. I've probably showed you guys this many times, but I store my embellishments in the stamp cases, and then I just mark them like this so that when they're on the shelf, I easily know what is what. And it helps me to contain and know what I'm working with a lot more than just rifling through them, which is what I used to. I have them in a basket or something like that, but it's a little easier for me that way. All right, so this is project number 3. So you guys can let me know what you think of that color palette. I hope that you will give a try to doing 2 different color schemes on your flowers if it's not too much work to do that masking in between. Let me know what you think of that, if that's something that you will try. Oh, that's so awesome that you made yesterday's card, Kathy. I love that. I love it when you guys go forward and create. That is exactly why I share. And it just makes my day to know that you guys have used the ideas and created with them. That's so awesome. I'm so glad you told me that. All right, so day number 1 is this one. And I did all the technique, and then I did the bounty folder, or dashing designs I think it's called, after all the blending, so kind of like a quilted look. Yesterday I did that same embossing folder but behind our split image. So here we stamped, blended, die cut, and then split it. And then today we did this one. So Kathy, let me know if you're finding my demonstrations, if they make sense. If you guys have any tips, or if there's ways that you find that I can explain things in a better way, I'm happy to try to incorporate that. But if they are making sense, then that's also good to know. So then I know that it's working for you guys. But clearly, I'm hoping that it is, because you made that card. But did you have to come back and watch a bunch of times for it to make sense? Or was it pretty good just on the first go? All right, and then card number 3 was this one with the multi-tones of roses in here. So that's what we have so far. And then on Monday with my Stamp Club, we will be doing these 2 cards here. So I'll be teaching them. This one's pretty basic. We're doing one really simple because our watercoloring is going to take us a little while. I am going to show them this. I watched a tutorial with watercoloring that helped me to have a lot more control with the layers of color. So we will be spending a little bit of time on watercoloring that one. You can still participate in my week-long series to earn all the card kits. A $65 purchase will earn you the 5 cards that I'm making this week. So not the Stamp Club ones, but with this host code or by contacting me to place your order, I will, and then placing a $65 order, I will send you the supplies for this week's 5 cards. If you also want to join Stamp Club, you can always bump your order to add the $40 Stamp Club requirement and make a $105 purchase, and then you would get to make all of the cards. And you could, for the week-long series, you'll just refer back to the Facebook Lives. For Stamp Club, we have that in a private Zoom, and I will record that and then send it out if you can't join us during the live class on Monday. So for some people who are just joining, you may not have the supplies by then, so that would be an option for you yet. Now, I keep forgetting all week long to tell you guys this. So I don't know why I keep forgetting, but I am getting super close to earning the incentive trip. And so I do have to say that less than 1% of people, or less than 1% of demonstrators earn that achievement, but it is getting within reach to earn it this month. So that is my hope. Now, the bonus with Stamp Club to help me get there is I'm actually giving everybody supplies for 2 cards of each. So rather than making just 1 of each card, we're going to make 2 of each card. So you can let me know if you are interested in any of those, and I greatly appreciate the support all year, and especially, or even equally, as we get close to the finish line of earning that trip. So thank you guys all for supporting me here. Thank you for supporting my business and helping us to be able to earn these achievements. Thanks for tuning into my Facebook Lives. I love having people here to watch with me and take part and cheer me on. And I love that it inspires you guys to go forward and create. So thank you for sharing that with me as well. I will let you guys go for the night. I'm sure you have lots of things you'd like to do on this beautiful Friday night. We're going to get back to some more gardening here. I will post tomorrow to let you know what time, or tonight. We are just sorting out the weekend with the boys here. I believe they both work tomorrow. It's crazy that they are like working men now and we don't choose their schedule anymore. But I'll sort that out with everybody. And then tomorrow I'll do 2 projects because we still need to do projects 4 and 5. So tomorrow I'll do 2 projects. And if you think you might be around tomorrow, let me know. And if you have a specific time, that if you're thinking like afternoon, that's likely when it'll be. But hopefully some of you can join in tomorrow. All right. Have a good night, everybody. I will be back again tomorrow. Bye.